This is an information session for the Global Governance Human Security doctoral program at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. My name is Sammy Barkin. I'm a professor of global governance in the Department of Conflict Resolution, Human Security, and Global Governance, which hosts the GGHS program. There will not be a quiz on all these very long names. Don't worry about it. I will be the program director through the end of this semester. After this semester, Professor Darren Q will take over for me. So he will be in charge of the actual selection process for incoming students in the spring. Lee Murphy is the program manager. So going forward, if you have questions about the sort of academic content side of the program, I'm the person to ask. If you have questions about anything administrative, particularly anything about the application process, Lee will actually know the answer much better than I do. She knows these systems better than I do. So questions about the academic program specifically, you should ask me. Questions about the application process or administrative questions, you should ask her. Okay, so what I'm going to do over the next few minutes is go through 6 slides about research students' expectations, program design, etc. And then we'll go to the question and answer portion. So we are the only program in the world, as far as I know, in global governance and human security specifically.
The next platform too will be the
somebody is not muted and is sort of leaking in. So if you could mute yourself, that would be appreciated. Global governance and human security covers a lot of research areas. Global governance clearly is a huge topic, anything that is governed globally. And we have students who interact with a broad range of topics within the broader purview of global governance and human security. Many of these are listed on the left-hand part of the slide. So we have a lot of expertise in conflict resolution. We have, in fact, a separate conflict resolution master's program that our doctoral students can get a degree in en passant. So expertise in various kinds of conflict resolution, but also in things like democratic development, environmental governance and sustainability, gender, global health, migration, international relations and political economy more broadly. And we have regional expertise in Africa and Latin America, in the Middle East, and to a slightly lesser extent in various parts of Europe and Asia. So our focus isn't topical or regional. We cover a broad ambit that way. Our focus is on processes of governance and processes of human security. In support of these topics, our department is affiliated with several centers and offices, including a Center for Peace, Democracy, and Development and a Center for Governance and Sustainability, both of which are run by members of our department, and also with the John Joseph Moakley Chair of Peace and Reconciliation in the Massachusetts Office of Public Collaboration, which do work on human security related issues and which are sometimes available to provide various kinds of funding to our students. Our students come from a broad range of places and study a broad range of things. The program as a whole is now entering its 11th year.
Okay, another possible day
we have somebody who is not muted, who is having conversations leaking in. Sorry, if you could mute yourself, please.
Yeah.
I've gotten ahead of myself. Anyway, so our program is now entering its 11th year, I believe. We have at this point graduated close to 40 students with PhDs, many of whom have gone on to tenure track academic positions, many of whom have gotten positions in the more policy-oriented world. And it is a very international program. For most of the history of the degree, a majority of our students have not been from the United States. The slide before that mentioned 26 countries is a little obsolete, but in the sense that our students are now from even more countries. So there's students from all over the world, about 60 active students and almost 40 graduates at this point. And the number of graduates is increasing all the time. Program expectations. This is an American-style PhD, which means there's a substantial amount of coursework before you begin to write the dissertation. The slide here says coursework for 2.5 years. We have that's based on coursework requirements for somebody coming in with a bachelor's degree. A large majority of our students come in with master's degrees. Doing that allows them to waive 4 elective course requirements. So if you're coming in with a master's degree that is in some way related to global governance and human security, in some kind of political science or international studies, or social science more broadly, or environmental studies or what have you, then we can waive some of the coursework, and we'll leave you with about 2 years of coursework. And more detail on the content of that coursework in a couple of minutes. There is a qualifying examination that everyone takes together as a group at the end of the first year, usually in August, right before second year starts. So 1 week examination, take-home examination. Students then ideally defend their dissertation proposals at the end of their second year. Sometimes it takes into the third year. And then write the dissertation. The shortest time to completion of the program as a whole historically has been about 4 years. Usually it's about 5 or 6. When the dissertation proposal is defended, the doctoral candidates write a dissertation supported by a dissertation committee that of 4 people, dissertation advisor who is from our department, and then 3 other people, one of whom must be from outside the university, so that we bring in alternative perspectives. We take in about between 6 and 10 students a year, usually right around 8. Students who come in take almost all of their first year courses together and a majority of their second year courses together. So it's a real cohort model in the sense that you are spending a lot of time in class with the same people, building community with those people. It has generally been the case that students find their cohort to be their best resource in writing their dissertation. The program requires 6 topical courses in global governance and human security, in international relations theory, in international organizations, in conflict resolution theory, and in gender and human security. These are distributed across the first 3 semesters. Historically, it has been in the pattern listed here. It might change slightly next year, but not meaningfully. So there's those 6 required topical courses. In the first year, there is also what we call a colloquium in both semesters. This is basically a professionalization course. It's about how to get through the program, how to be an effective doctoral student, how to interact with the academic community, etc. In the second year, covering the third and fourth semesters, there's a sequence of courses that are essentially about how to write a dissertation proposal, called doctoral research design and doctoral research groups. So there's a process in the second year in which the cohort collectively works on a guided process of developing a dissertation proposal. Ideally, this leads to a defensible dissertation proposal in the spring of the second year of the fourth semester. There is no deadline, so sometimes students need the summer to hone it up, and get it ready to defend. But that's the general pattern of the program. Most of our students are funded by graduate assistantships. Graduate assistantships come with a stipend for 9 months a year, and a tuition waiver and health insurance. So if you come on a graduate assistantship, it covers all your tuition and healthcare and provides you living expenses for the academic year, but not for the summer. A graduate assistantship requires you to act as an assistant in your first and third year. That will mostly be as a research assistant to department faculty. In your second year, that would also include some time spent as a teaching assistant. For our department doesn't have undergraduates, so teaching assistant for courses in other departments, mostly departments like political science and gender studies and Africana studies, sort of cognate departments in the social sciences. The standard graduate assistantship, as that suggests, lasts for 3 years. It can be supplemented by research and conference travel grants through the department, through the McCormick Graduate School, through the university, and through an array of outside funders. Some summer research opportunities are available, but we cannot guarantee summer funding. Lastly, the application process. Applications are online. Sending materials to Lee or to me by email is not a substitute for going through the online application process. All applications have to be done through the online process. The components of the application are statement of purpose, a writing sample, 2 letters of recommendation, a resume or CV, and official transcripts. We do not require a GRE exam for this admission cycle. For students whose previous degrees are not from essentially not from English-speaking countries, we do require some kind of test of English language. There are several of those, which I'm happy to talk about, or more effectively, Lee is happy to talk about later in the Q&A. The deadline for applications is February 1st. That is a hard deadline. Getting in an application a lot earlier than that doesn't actually help your chances in any way. We just wait till February 1st, and then the entire set of applications goes out to the admissions committee. So you probably don't want to be waiting till February 1st, just in case you hit glitches with the online system, but there's no particular advantage to rushing to do it, say, this week or next week. Of the components of the application, most of it is relatively straightforward. For the writing sample, give us something ideally with some analytic component, but obviously you think your best piece of analytic writing. Resume or CV is fairly straightforward. We do need official transcripts in order to admit you. If you can't get them right away, then send us unofficial transcripts, but eventually we will need official transcripts to admit you. For the letters, for the 2 letters of recommendation, at least one of them should be from an academic source, from a professor, so from someone who has worked with you in an educational setting. Finally, the statement of purpose. The statement of purpose should do a few different things. There are prompts for it in the application system. One of the prompts is to list people you might, in the department, you might want to work with. You do not need to clear this with them first. This doesn't commit you in any way to working with them or them to working with you. It's just gives us some idea of who you might be interested in working with. The statement of purpose should also, in some level of detail, tell us what you might be interested in researching, what your topical area of focus is likely to be. And again, we don't hold you to this. It doesn't commit you to working on that area, but it's but your application will do better if it shows us that you have some particular things about global governance and human security that you're interested in researching, rather than just sort of telling us generically that you're interested in the topic broadly. Okay, that is the end of the PowerPoint.